those buckets, 5-gallon bucket, not all the way full, in the living room. Well, on the way out of the living room. I was headed towards the outdoors to put it in the garden. But instead, I threw it all over the freaking floor in the living room and the blanket and the carpet. So it's hardwood floor, luckily, kind of luckily, not really that luckily, because it swells and that's not good for the floor. So last couple days I have been out for the count because I put together a pretty sweet, if I do say so myself, raised garden bed for my wife, and that killed my back. I shouldn't have done it so early in the recovery from the back surgery. But other than that, I mean, things are going well. Things are doing good. So I just figured, my wife's out of town. She's on a girls' retreat with some of her college buddies, and hasn't seen them in, I don't know, 10 years or something, a couple of them. So she's out enjoying her time with them, and I've just been trying to catch up on work in the fish room and decided, let's do a stream tonight, because I wasn't up to it the last 2 days, and or I was. I would have just been walking, standing, and pacing the whole time, and I felt like that would probably annoy most people, rather than being able to look at tanks or do anything. So, before we jump into just wandering around and seeing what's new in the fish room and answering questions or seeing what y'all are up to, I also wanted to say that something's been bugging me. We'll go with bugging. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate that, man. Saying not to overdo it. I really do need to have you guys, have my friends remind me, don't lift that thing, don't do that. I feel like at what are we at, 7.5 weeks since surgery, that I should be freaking I don't know, Superman or something. I should be able to lift 100 men at once and 2 ladies. But that's not where I'm at. I'm at maybe 20 pounds, and no twisting, and bending over is really hard. So not quite Superman, but almost. So first, before we get into it, and Shanna, what's up? I'm so happy. Banana. That was our safe word. I'm so happy to see you. Welcome. Welcome back, my friend, to the show that never ends, except it does all the time, but I'm on again a couple days later. Chris, oh yeah, that's right, the hernia thing, huh? No good. Yeah, I say I had a hernia because I had one side that hurt. I went into the doctor and they're like, you have 2 hernias, and do you want surgery? And I was like, well, not if I don't have to. And they're like, how bad does it hurt? Is it, blocking anything? They did an MRI because they need to look at my spine anyways. And they're like, well, if you're ready, when you're ready, come back and we'll take care of that. So there's that. What's up, Pete? How's it going? How you doing? G'day. I hope that Australia is not too freaking hot or whatnot right now. Too cold? You guys are about to go into winter, huh? Hey, what's up? Hey, we got some West Coasters on. I'm kind of surprised. I thought it'd be all Europeans or, I don't know. I don't know who I thought would be here, but we got some good people here. So what's going on, Jason? Good to see you, man. Matthew, hello, welcome. You're new. I know I saw you in the comments. So glad to have you. Welcome. So, what I wanted to quickly address before I murder something is I've had a couple people in the comments lately. Hey, Joe, welcome. First live stream. So glad to see it. And Heron Navarro, welcome too. And Dev, good to see you also. Welcome to all of y'all. Who is that? Kerr Gunner, welcome. Doing late at night university assignments. I know how that goes. Slash, I used to think that that was, lame, and I was tired of doing that. Um, and that's why I didn't finish my, like, archaeology PhD. I just did master's program. And I should have finished it because now I have a channel where I'm studying fish, and sometimes it's stuff on substrate and geology and stuff. And I'm up 30 hours of the week at night generally because I like reading and working at night when it's quiet and the world's kind of still and it's crisp outside and I can chain smoke. Who said that? But in any case, it's like when my mind works best, especially since my lightning strike slash head injury. Nighttime is the right time since then. The day, I'm very, very flustered in the mornings, often. So we have a couple things going on in the fish room that I'll show you guys. It's going to be kind of cool too because it's late night, and normally you guys don't get to see the fish at night, but this is when my gobies, my Stiphodon or Styphodon gobies, my birdsong eye, and then also the I don't know which other one. I guess it's probably the cobalt blue and the neon yellows. The females are totally egg full, and they're eggy, and they're on the rocks doing this thing that they do where they expand a little like dewlap, almost like a frog or a lizard, and they just sit there fat, showing off for the boys, and the boys dance around. And the gouramis are also, oh hell, I'll just turn it around because they're doing it right now. But yeah, so the samurai gouramis are doing their thing. You can see the females starting to get some stripes on her. If you were here in real life, you'd see the iridescence and rainbow color on it. Now the male here, he's had his pouch extended. See that V on his chin? That's where he holds the babies. That's where he holds babies if he's spawning or whatnot, for a week or two. Now the little loaches, they're up here, and we'll see if we can get them to show off. Sometimes they get shy when I get right on the glass, but they were just showing how big they are, and they try to make themselves even bigger by blowing up a little bubble on their chin. We'll probably see that one in a sec if she stays. But I always love these because with their little faces, they have such expression like a little frog. They're like a little, I don't know, they're just so cute. And the males are down below. There's more females down here. And it's hard to believe because they don't come out in the day quite as much. But there are 14 still in this tank, in this 20 long. This tank is pretty overcrowded, but I do water changes almost every day on it. Do your little throat thing. Some of the species do the little throat thing, and they're and it's colorful, which is neat. But the males of the neon gold species are actually colored up right now, so we'll probably see him swim by in a sec, trying to impress the females. This is right here. This is one of the females, and you can actually see the eggs in her belly, and you can see the iridescence on her fins. It's red and orange on her top fins. You can actually see that live a little bit, and blue on her tail fin. Now, in real life, in my aquarium room, I can actually see it solid on those, but it's just not showing up super well. But you can see how full of eggs both these females are. It's just a bummer that these species don't reproduce in fresh water. They spawn right at the mouth of rivers and creeks, and then they have basically planktonic larvae as their babies. I mean, their eggs, each one of these little critters has 1,000 to 5,000 eggs, depending on the species. And they lay them in the water, and then the male sprays a cloud, and I've seen them do that in this tank several times, but then the little larvae just don't develop. Also, my hillstream loach, the Borneo spotted, has purple fins and a dark purplish blue tail right now. So everybody's really happy because I just did like a 60% water change. Look at these gouramis showing off. I mean, the male there with the crimson on his pouch and the stripes on his face, and then the female here with the iridescence on her and the blue and the red. I don't know if it's coming across that well. Their eyes are blood red too. but they're a really neat fish. Um, they're a form of chocolate gourami. And then I've also got from Redfish Bluefish from Jason, I've got the orange chin panchex that I got from him still, and it's doing well. If I get it under certain light, you can really see some of the colors in it too, but it's a neat one. And it interacts with the gouramis quite a bit. It's interesting. Um, so there's that. Now, I did promise a rant, and I will go on one soon, but also next generation of my plecos. I've got like 2 or 3 in every tank, kind of. They're all doing really well. And then these are some Lamias that I have that are doing really well. They're tiger Lamias, I guess. I don't know. That's what they were sold as. I don't know for sure what subspecies or species they are. The male up there. And then we've got the Machiensis beta also out, which in the day they're not usually, but over by the heater, she's chilling. The male doesn't like the heater as much, I've noticed, out of the pair. He hangs out back by the filtration, which is a little unusual for betas. Usually they don't hang out by running water. And then if anybody is wondering what the new fish are, the that are just silver right now, those are Rhamnocentris ornatus, and they are a rainbow fish that will have literally half of its body exactly crimson and the other half bluish silver. They're pretty cool. They're pretty fun when they get a little older. These ones are only about 4 months old, so they're not showing off yet. And then I've got my dwarf, what's it called? An Imperial Sultan Pleco. And I don't remember the L number, but she is very small. She has never grown bigger than that. She's not even 3 inches. She's probably 2.5 inches. And she is 3 years old now. So it's pretty interesting. Hey Skipper, what's up? And Liquid Zoo and Squeaks and Derek, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Yeah, your average fish keeper. Doing really baby brine shrimp feeding, huh? Average fish keeper, cool. Go mate with your own species. Go bug your friends. Stop paying attention to me. Make babies. You know, they're in a community tank. I don't know if they're actually ever going to make babies in a community tank. And then again, we've got more of the gobies up on the log, but they are just so fat. Look how wide they are. If you guys know how skinny these things are usually, you can just see how fat and full of eggs they are, and it's just such a bummer every time that this happens, and they are so ready to spawn, and they'll spawn, and then I can't do anything with the little cloud they leave behind. But the male is lit up like a Christmas tree, and somebody or somewhere in this, I just saw him swimming by, so he should come by to flash the ladies some love in a second here. Val Mota, hello, how are you doing? I feel like it's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. But yeah, so this has kind of been an interesting tank, the way it's evolved and what's in it and all that. But I really like this one a lot. I like it a lot. And after I find the male for you guys, which actually there's 3 males, so I don't know where they are. They might be back in the corner hiding, or they may be. Are they showing? Oh, there's one over there. You can see some of the yellow and blue and green and teal. There you go. He's putting on a show for the killie loach. The coolie loach. No, you're mating with the wrong species. Stop it. Ugh. Fish. It's like they're not the most intelligent creatures sometimes. Yeah. So, hey Technola, what's up, man? Or ma'am, but I'm assuming it's man. Oh, there we go. Here comes another male up on top of that rock. Nope, you're not going to show off. None of you guys are going to show off for me, except the females. Alright. Well, okay, so back to me, because I'm important in my stream. Hello, me. I had someone comment earlier this evening, and their comment to me was, actually, aquaria is the plural of aquarium. It would not be aquariums. Latin, isn't it great? Maybe you should learn it sometime. And their name was like blah 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 blah, eat a rock, doctor, blah blah blah, like 5 names. And one, no, you can say aquaria if you mean plural, like the hobby at large, but no, it is not the plural of. You don't say I have a whole lot of aquarias or aquaria in my house. You would say that could indicate anything in the hobby. It's in a very specific context that you use that in America, anyways. But beyond all of that, it brings up something that is always on my mind in this hobby when someone's like, you added an S to Corydora, or you didn't add an S to Corydoras. And you always say Corydoras, even if it's singular. Guys, they're Corys. Like, I mean, come on. Come on now. Can we all just get along? Can we just drop the pedantics? It drives me freaking insane. It drives me insane. And when people are trolling, I do usually know. But unless somebody's got me really good this time, I'm pretty sure they're serious about the aquaria thing. But then because then I start second guessing myself about really simple stuff sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, well, maybe I'm the one who's wrong and I've been misinforming. And now that the channel's gotten more popular, I'm like, oh man, have I led astray, a couple hundred people? And then I think again and I'm like, no, I've led astray 30,000 people plus. Sorry about the movement. I'm trying to turn this light on. But Alan, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, I should name my channel The Secret History Living in Your Aquaria. Actually, that is something close to what I have named. What is it? I think it's my Instagram handle. It's like your aquaria, the Secret History of Aquaria, which would be how you should use that plurally, of like multiple aquariums, of everyone's aquariums, like of the non-possessive aquarium, plural. Any case, George says, Alex, I bred 2 Nemo betta together. Do they usually all fry? Wait, do they all fry same if pair are same? I will find out. No, they don't. Narshima Shinoy, hello, welcome from India. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're doing great. Yeah, they don't always, especially with some of the newer, like the Galaxy Koi placots or like the Koi Nemo placots or any of those, they definitely sometimes throw random things pretty heavily. And you'll probably get fish that in general have their colors and their features most of the time, but some of the lines are as bad as like only a quarter come out in the grade that you'd want to sell, and like maybe 10 to 20% are as good as the parents' grade in a lot of those lines. Now, that's not always the case, but that is the case with a lot of the like $40 or $50 bettas because they're just newer varieties. If you have something like a very specific line like mustard gas, or one that has markings where it's like the red is in this spot, the other colors are in this spot, like a Hellboy or a mustard gas or a smiley face, whatever, one of those, then it is a lot more likely that you'll actually get something similar. And then there'll be like 50% that have the right color, but they're off a little bit. So that's usually the way it goes. If you have a really good line, though, you might get 60, 70% looking somewhere in that range. But that's generally how it goes. So yeah, let's see here. Alan, thank you for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate it. Super chat, much appreciated lately. I mean, always. Who doesn't love money? But always appreciated because of all the bills with the freaking uh, medical crap with my spine surgery, and then not the my insurance telling me one thing and then sending me a bill that says $6,000 more than what they told me was going to be out of pocket. After you ask them 10 times and then you have to appeal it. So now I'm appealing it for the second appeal, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm probably going to have to pay the damn thing, unfortunately. Color Guppies, aka, or rather, I should say Vinay, aka Color Guppies, he sent me these beautiful Jinga sulpharis. And these are from the Jinga rubra line, but he basically got rid of is much of red, and now it's orange, yellow, blues, and greens that are highlighted with still orange stripes. Come on, focus. And it's all iridescence too, so only the orange is pigment. The rest is iridophores, other than orange and yellow. And that's because this line is leucistic. So they're not albino like a lot of people think. That's why they have black eyes still. But the colors come and go because they're actually, other than the red, which is actually the red and yellow, which is actually the orange, is iridophores of an undertone called blonde in the Guppy genetics. And so they've got this blonde undertone, and then they've got a magenta thinly layered above that, which is what gives them their stripes. And then all those dots, and really pretty when this thing ever turns, really pretty subtle nuanced sparkles and other lines and dots. Those are all from, come on, do it. Those are all right there, right there. Those are all from the iridophores. So that line, the Moscow guppies are known for being very heavy in pigmentation. They have a ton of pigment and very little iridophores. Where when you look at, for instance, Hawaiian or bluegrass or metallic snakeskin lines, that's when it's heavily iridophores. And so fish all have two layers of either a skin or scale with iridophores and then pigment, and that's what gives them their color. I've got a whole bunch of episodes where I talk about that in the past, but you can see it really well tonight because they don't have their base pigment of the blonde yellow up real high because it's nighttime, and I just turned the lights on them, but you can see how pretty they are. But those were from Vinay at Color Guppies, and they're in there right now with the Lamias, but the Lamias are about to go out into the ponds as soon as I feel like it's safe from frost. Which, I thought it was going to be safe after we had a 76-degree day in Seattle on, what was that, Wednesday? And then today, it freaking snowed in Seattle. It snowed this afternoon. I mean, come on, what is going on? So, that was fun. But, let's see here. Oh, wow, Super Chat's rolling in. Thank you so much, you guys. Valmoda, a couple bucks for you and your Aquaria Yes, thank you. Thank you so kindly for the Aquaria money. Aquarias, I'll use it plurally. And Aquaria Life, wishing you a speedy recovery. Take it easy. Thank you kindly. It's just funny that you also have Aquaria in your title. Which, to make it clear, I have nothing wrong with that term. Someone saying that that's the only way that you can pluralize in saying aquarium it just set me off, though, earlier today. And then them saying, you should learn Latin sometimes, because it's not Latin either. It's a French word based off of a Latin prefix. And before that, Greek a little bit, and then it's all bashed together in Romance languages, and then Anglicized, which is like Germanic language. So, whatever. But I was just showing too that all the shrimp are doing well that were sent to me. This one's eating an exoskeleton to get some nutrients back for its own exoskeleton. Gotta love the auto cannibalism. Uh, Kerr Gunner says, "Hey Alex, some of the species in the hobby have gone extinct or at risk of extinction in the wild. What do you think will happen to their genetics when people are just breeding, or when they're just bred by the people?" Um, well, we kind of know in some cases. For instance, these were Jenga rubras in my own club, and I bought them at an auction for $20 for a trio and some babies, and this is what they look like. Now, they're supposed to be bright red and orange and yellow and striped and kind of psychedelic colors on them. And they are not. They are like blue, and it looks like their tail was chewed off. And it's probably because the line got muddied. They didn't know what they were keeping. And also, the fun fact, they have worms, this batch, too. They have, what's it called? Columnaris worms. And, or columnaris worms. The little orange ones that come out their bum. Their cloaca, rather. See, that's what I meant by pedantics. People who will say, like, the pee hole of the fish or the butt of the fish. Everyone knows there's one hole on a fish. It's a cloaca. Like, cut people some slack, whatever they want to call it. Now, if it's somebody giving a lecture on anatomy or something, then sure, don't cut them as much slack. But still, I'd even cut them slack then. It's real easy to accidentally say, oh, when comparing anaerobic, anoxic, and aerobic filtration, it turns out that uh, anaerobic is far and away the most rare of the three in our hobby and may not be even utilized at all. Well, when you say things like that, it's real easy in your head, especially when you're trying to read comments or make a video or exist as a human in a capitalist society that's overstimulating. It's hard to uh, say everything right all the time, and I think we just need to cut everyone a little slack. Nobody's been hounding on me for that, but I catch it, and some people are like, that anoxic is this one and that, and this is that one. And it's like 17 minutes into a video, and I've already said it the right way like 5 times, and they're like, they drop the time mark, and then that. The other thing, and I'm guilty of this too, so I have no solution. I'm just bitching because it's late, and I can because it's a free. Well, I don't know, not really a free country, but it's a country, and I can say what I want about being a creator. That free, anyways. It is that. Well, we got the mail. He's shining so bright. Shine on, you crazy little diamond. I don't know. I already lost track of what I was talking about. Oh, I was going to get her eggs. You could see her shadow of all the little eggs. Yep, she's resting again. What else do we have going on? Oh, these guys are going to join their parents this year. They're all ready. They'll be a year old in July. So their parents are over here. The albino paradise fish. They're still going strong, doing well, and they're in with the gold barbs and the rosy barbs, and those will all be going outside once it doesn't go under about 50 at night. Then let me show you the new additions, which are the thick lip gouramis. And these I really am enjoying. Let me get the light on them a little bit better. And then also Jason from Redfish Bluefish is going to be hooking me up with more soon. But look at these beautiful Chopra Danios. These are the glow light Danios that have been bred. When you asked about the genetics of humans breeding a fish, this is what happens when you make sure that a line is constantly getting influxes of wild blood or different genetic groups, ideally different haploid groups, where you find like a chunk population that is separate from the one you have. this is what they end up looking like. And if you guys have seen Daniel Chopra's glow light Daniels at the store, you know that they don't look anything like this. They don't have purple stripes and neon orange and yellow and iridescent blue. And I mean, these are some stunning fish. And Alan, thank you for the super chat for the Woodcat Fund. I do appreciate it. I do want Woodcats again as soon as possible. When I see they have Tatia mosaicas again anywhere within the US, I'll definitely be ordering some. Then also all the CPDs that I spawned in this tank right down here, they're now up here. And so, I don't know, there's 22 of them or something like that. And then I left about 6 down below. So these are the thick lip gouramis of Lake Inlay. Though, and I mean, needless to say, everything other than this Siamese algae eater, which is the reticulatus species of Siamese algae eater, everything in here is a Lake Inlay legitimate species. The only plant that is not in the lake is the Monte Carlo that's right here and up here. And I actually just buried it because it had grown into such a shrub that the algae was getting really bad back up in this corner. And I actually just trimmed off the Bacopa too and put the tops of it back down. But it just actually came up and had these beautiful cornflower, bluish purple flower petals that are have 5 petals and white calyx and stamen, or pistils rather. Really beautiful lavender to blue color. And yeah, I'm having fun with that. Now, I'm not getting any bright colors out of my Rotalas really, other than the stems and a few of the mini butterflies. And I think it's just because the nitrates are still too high as the aqua soil is still off-gassing, and then the fish and everything, they're happy with it, but with the amount being under 50 or whatnot. But they're producing too much, and low nitrates is really what you need for like the Rotala atra, like that one, or the Rotala any. For those to really glow and shine, they really need that low end nitrate, nitrite, and ammonia. Now here is what a wild south end of the lake thick-lipped gourami, or Trichogaster labosea. I don't know if it's French or what, but that's what these are. And these are the females here. And the males, which makes sense, are the smaller ones with the darker crimson on them. Now, again, I woke them up at night. In the wild, they have stripes on them, and again, being bred by humans, they have actually started to gather one solid color and lost their lines because they've been bred in ponds that don't have reeds in them, because that way they can easily clean the ponds and stuff, and other bugs and pests that they don't want in there won't be in there. So they keep them in these tarp-lined ponds, whereas some fish are raised in ponds that have, stuff like plants in them. This one has poop hanging. Let's see if we can get it to dart and get rid of the poop for the sake of looking purty. Then we also have the little rosy loaches from Lake Inlay, which are really adorable. They the females are cute. They've got lines down their side and speckles, whereas the males mostly just have the line down their side, and then they're orange to red. But right now it's nighttime, so the colors are much more subdued. But they're always spawning in this tank. I've watched them drop eggs over and over, probably, I don't know, 20, 30 different times in the last month and a half in this tank alone. It's pretty impressive. Aquaria Life says, those shrimp are amazing. I'm breeding zebra babalti. Right on. How's that going? It's kind of hard, I know. What are we doing? Too coolie for schoolie? I'm always up this late. I just rarely Oh, Tamed Waters did. Okay, I'm getting caught up on chat. Sorry, I was running my big fat stupid mouth. Um, but yeah, them thick lips. Exactly. Um, Carla, Yang, hello. This is late. Yeah, I know, right? Which camera am I using? Right now, I am just using my Galaxy 21 Note Plus. So it's kind of like the big version of the not the newest, but the second newest. Came out like a year ago. Android phone. I know in different countries they have different names for all of those, but it's the one that comes with the stylus and the and it's real big and it doesn't fit in most people's pockets. But I always wear giant pocketed like khakis or sweatpants, bum stuff. Um, but yeah, so this tank, I think I am gonna try to enter in Heiko Blair's Biotope contest, especially when I get more immerse growth going in it. And then I'm getting more this week from Jason. I'm getting some more glow light Danios, another I think four maybe, to go with these ones. And then I'm also getting some of the Rufa, I think they're Gravely Eye, I think is how you say it. But they are like a little spotted Gara. And they're kind of like a Panda Gara or Rufa Gara, Gara Fluvatus, or Gara Rufa, as I just said. But they're cute, They're hopefully algae eaters. I don't know. It doesn't really have that much info on them because they're from Lake Inle, and Lake Inle is a bit of a mystery. It's a little bit of a land of the lost. Um, yeah, this is the lake in Burma, lake in Inle, the Myanmar lake. And yeah, so everything in here pretty much right now. I mean, like cinnamon is in the lake now, or around the lake now, but it's not native to there. It's native to like Indonesia and I don't know, Zanzibar or something. The different kinds of cinnamon. That and like this is technically from Bangladesh, but there are people growing it for aquaria on the edges of the lakes. I've seen pictures of it. So, um, yeah, this is what I get for feeding my fish late. Yeah, exactly. I like feeding the fish at night sometimes. Throws them off, keeps them on their toes, and they never settle down. They always give me peak performance. And then down here, this is my filterless tank. Remember that we set up as a colony for the for the CPDs and also for quarries. So whenever I have quarry fry, I kind of just toss them in here. But there are just ton of Silawesi Caridina Malawa shrimp in here, just taking over. Every other female I see is pregnant, and the moss in here, without CO2 or anything, has grown into a very regular shaped bush, like a topiary almost. And then the CPDs, like I said, I've got about 4 or 5 females still in here, and then 1 to 3 males. It's hard to tell, honestly, how many are in here. The most I've seen at once is 5 of them. So I know for sure there's 5, but I'm pretty sure by looking at the spot on there, they basically have a little gravid spot, and I know that I've seen some of the time that don't have that. But I mean, look at all the shrimp just chilling on every little inch of stuff when they're not scared. If I scare them off, they'll all disappear for a minute. But the corkscrew valve, that it was a red metallic one that got like 2 to 3 feet long in my tall aquaria with strong light. It stayed very low, like a carpeting plant in this tank the whole time. I've never trimmed the valve, and that was from Lucas Brett's. That's his valve. Now, the other fish that's really cool up in the lake inlay tank that some of you might have missed last time um, is the lake inlay loach, the red-tailed inlay loach, and I'm gonna get it to come out hopefully in a sec here. Here comes a male. There he goes. That was it. The end. I'm gonna get a female to come out too. So they're usually hiding under that log over there, but they have basically a very, very limited bag of tricks. They hang out up in this Rotala innie, and I can almost always corral them out of that area and into another area, get them to come and make an appearance, at least for a moment. But I did rearrange a couple things. Here's the big female. Here is the big female. I'll try to get her out too. There she is. Watch, when you Google these fish, they always have this really dull and lame tail. Look at how red their tails are. Mine have always been just strikingly beautiful, especially the males, but that's a female that we're seeing here. Females are way bigger than the males. This female's pushing 3.5 inches probably. Definitely a big fish, but she doesn't require much room to swim. She kind of just finds a little spot, a little perch, and then munches on algae and tannins coming off the wood in the form of aufwuchs or biofilm. And the pictures are always so lame, but their pectoral fins, which up front are very kind of strange paddle-shaped looking ones, and their patterning. I mean, they're a beautiful fish, and the red on them is not subtle. So I don't know why all the pictures online are so terrible. It's true of most of the fish in Lake Inlet, other than a handful of the nanos. Also, I just found out that Aquatic Arts is going to send me some rummy nose, so I'm almost pushing too many fish in this 26-gallon tank. I mean, I can always add more filtration and that'll take care of that, but it's just kind of a matter of space too. But since they're all fish that tend to like reedy, very, very heavily planted, swampy regions, I don't think it's too out of the ordinary to put them all together. None of them are predators. There are very few predators in Lake Inlet. There's carp, there's snakeheads, and there's a perch, and that's about it. Tilapia is also there now. And then we've got the pencilfish who are watching the digital readout on the thermometer. I don't know why, but they sit there and stare at it like they're all an attentive audience. And again, the females are ready to spawn. Look how full of eggs she is. Love seeing that. And then the younger generation that I spawned out, last time I just put them up here, didn't have a filter running or anything, and just spawned them out. Then my bell-bottom guppies, these are the culls, but this is one that snuck past me that I've been watching for a few days. He's got checkers on the end of his tail, and then his tail, depending on the angle of light, can be anywhere from blue to green to yellow to brown. I mean, it just changes every color of the rainbow, and his dorsal fin is enormous. And I didn't select for the enormous dorsal fin, and usually I think of those as sometimes limiting to the fish and a little bit almost cruel. But they got it from the genetics of a female that came from this line over here, these German tuxedo kois, or koi German tuxedos. And now I've crossed those with Lucas Brett's Endlers, and they didn't get any spots or anything, but they did get yellow in the top fin and a couple spots in what was before a solid orange tail. And I'm really digging that yellow fin sticking straight up like a flag right there. And then we've got the wild type Endlers that also, these are siblings. They come out as one of the two phenotypes with these parents that are in here. So it's time to move those and split those up and try to refine those lines. So I'll probably get another couple small tanks to go here, and then monkey with that later. Oh, this one's doing the thing with its throat. There you go. You can see the weird expanding the throat thing. Ta-da. And then also, so we've got my beautiful, sorry about the glare, but we've got the beautiful Lake Tanganyika, or not Tanganyika, Lake, Lake Turkana, tip of my tongue, Lake Turkana, jewel cichlids, what are they? Hemichromis exul. And they are just, I mean, they're just so bright. They're probably the brightest, colorful freshwater fish. Now, they do have about 100 babies chilling in here somewhere. And I'm starting to see a worm, a detritus worm growth on the glass. The babies were eating all of that in this bunch. And these ones were born in October or November, and they're just now old enough to definitely be sold off as adults. It's a little hard to sex them just because of the nature of them, but by size you can kind of tell. Like those two are gonna, like that's a male, obviously, and then the females generally have a little bit deeper color when they're young, but they're smaller. So like they're blues and stuff. Like this one, probably a female. And then they lose all the patterns on those fins, which is kind of interesting. So I'm gonna sell some of these. I don't know. Maybe Jason wants some of them, but they're meaner than hell, so maybe not. And then in this tank, which was my Borneo, or really it's Sumatra, Borneo, Java, Indonesian, archipelago tank. It's the I have some license with this one. But we've got everybody's happy in here, just cruising around. And then I know there's quarries in it. That doesn't make any sense. But I mean, look at the macrostoma bettas. They're getting pretty big. They're getting to 2.5 inches now. And they've got big mouths. Their mouths open wide. So they've been living off of all the shrimp babies in here from the Sulawesi malawas. And then we've got one that I think is going to end up being a female. I think I can see even her eggs developing in her ovaries. Not her belly, but right over her shoulder. Whereas the other two that are bigger and longer, they don't seem to have that even when I get them at the right angle with the light. They've got a belly, but no shoulder darkness. So we'll see. I guess those tetras aren't native to to any of the islands either, but such is life, right? Here's a Kuliloach acting a fool. And then, what's going on down here? So, the other night we had a battle in here. We have cribs. I moved some cribs in here because I think they're tough and I think they can handle it. So they're in here. They're Crebensis pulchers. And then there's also Peclotia. What is that in the cave? Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's a petricola rather. A petricola. Synodontis petricola. And then over here, we've got female. Supposedly, this one is the same age as this one. I think we may have two separate subspecies. I got them from Lawrence Kent, collected in the wild, and from also Andy, who works down at the Wet Spot, who got his first generation from Lawrence Kent. And I'm just wondering what's up, or if it's just a hormonal difference that makes that big of a difference. Because also, look, when we come around the corner, the nest that's being guarded is bonkers. He is 8 inches long. I measured him today. They're guarding this little nest here. Not little, they've dug a pretty good nest back there. In fact, the sand that they've moved it here. Last night, it was this rock was the line. And they've cleared out an area over 1 foot long, this little female and the male here. And I know it's kind of dirty. I wasn't expecting to be filming back in that corner. But the other night, there were several fry in the mouth also. So I'm really hoping that maybe there's some babies in there, or maybe they're mouth brooding some. Not enough is known about the species, though. Only about 6 people have them in America right now, the Irvine eyes. So hopefully we'll learn more about it. And then this tank I added sand to. If you guys remember how much algae and crap was in this tank, it wasn't water changes, it wasn't chemicals or anything like that that I did to change anything. This fern is not right now sucking nutrients out of there. This is from doing a sand cap and having lots of snails explode. And now they're all going to stay small because they don't have enough food because they exploded and a little bit too early. But let's try to get this glare out of the way. But this is the other one that Lawrence Kent gave me, the Malungu haplochromis enigmatochromius. And we know this is the main female and that she will carry the babies in her mouth. These are from Lake Victoria. And then the male, who is very pretty, even when he's not colored up, like right now he's not quote-unquote colored up, but it's very cool to see the female with this green, yellow, kind of like bass or perch look with some blue lips. And then the male has every color of the rainbow along his flanks, along his sides. And yet again, another fish that only a handful of people in the country have, and so no pressure, right? Like Lawrence gave me these, and they proceeded. This was a fully planted, beautiful tank. They destroyed everything within a matter of days, but they are an incredibly beautiful fish. Now, the other terror fish that I need to get rid of is Captain Golf Ball here, the Arctic blue convict and blood parrot cichlid that is like round, and the female is teeny and adorable and peaceful. The male is getting really ginormous and runs away every time I try to get near the tank, and when I'm not near the tank, he's constantly hurting and harassing the other fish. So that's a fun situation. Now in the other room, we'll go to the other room real quick, and I'll catch up on questions, I promise. I'm just not a good multitasker. In fact, almost no one is. You can do about 3 things at once, and that's the limit of it. So I need to do a lot of maintenance on this tank. This tank, I trimmed it 2 weeks ago, and yet again, we're here. Pay me, Dr. Pepper. And red root floaters are like the plant of the season in here, man. They're doing really well, looking just killer. I like how this looks. It's like a jungle below, and we got all these little fry in here. And then it's nice and peaceful. But then we've got the mascot of the bell-bottom guppies that I was breeding. And these... Betty White, right here, this female, she has tried to lay eggs twice, and she's a good fish, but she comes to the top and does the thing where they smack their lips really loud, just like she just did there. And then Rasbo, who is the betta, if I can find him, you know, and this angel here has been hiding back here, so I'm really wondering if there's going to be some spawning going on. But in other news, I was able to assemble the Fluval 2.7. I was going to make a video on it, but there's already a bunch of videos on it, so I'm not going to make a video on it. But I did put that together, and then this ugly piece of crap that's been here since the move will be going away because now the other filter is cycled. But Rasbo is a good little boy who loves being petted, and because they know it means food time. Now, I'm not encouraging you to pet your fish. Our hands have a lot of nasty stuff on them in general. I just wash my hands really thoroughly, but even so, it's not the best idea. So don't do as I do, do as I say. So that's going to feed all the cories and phantom plecos and the lamb chop rasboras, and I mean, I think I'm pushing 20 cories in this tank, even though I almost never see them. And then the other pencil fish, the 3-stripe, pencilfish. Oh, the bloodfin tetras. So there's a lot of fish in here. I just need to cut everything back yet again. And then over here we've got some Cory, Hebrosis Cories, and we've got some, or Histatus rather, and then we've got some fry from them. We've also got some fry from, oh, I see someone who did not make it with us. Hold on. Let's see what's going on here. It is a female guppy that appears perfectly intact, other than being full of eggs. No issue that I can discern. Eyes aren't milky. I don't know why she's dead. That's so frustrating. But I guess when you have like hundreds of guppies around the house, things just happen. All right, now to questions. I haven't forgotten you. I haven't abandoned my, in the words of Daniel Day-Lewis, I have abandoned my son. Haven't done that. That's not what's happening. So let me stop making you guys dizzy. Hold on. Hold on. You spin me right round, baby, right round. All right, now I can check the chat. Okay. Please hit the thumbs up. Okay, yeah, I can dig that request from y'all. I didn't say it. Y'all said it. Let's see here. Oh man, George, if you were up here, I'd get you a pair of these macrostoma for way cheap, at least $100 for the pair, if not lower. But they'll be young. I just don't like shipping them, especially right now when they're such a tropical fish. Rochelle, Alex, I would be arguing with you on any topic when it comes to aquariums or aquaria. Okay, well, please feel free to. I get a lot of things wrong or off or misspeak and, you know, whatnot. Alex, do Julii Cories eat scuds? Yeah, most will. If their mouth can open that big, they will. The only thing is, if you're feeding a scud diet completely to something other than like a bigger hardy catfish or a real true predator like an Oscar or something, the exoskeleton in there, the chitin, can back up their system. And it's the same with honestly feeding all blackworms or all bloodworms. That in that case, the protein can cause impaction and cause constipation and even death from the blockage. Let's see here. If anybody wants to watch something trippy, definitely watch the links I posted about psychedelic research going on. And what was relevant to the fish world is that we were talking about how all sorts of different fish see different ways. And some have ultraviolet, some can see infrared, some can detect pressure. Knife fish can detect electrical signals. And there's probably lots of things we still have yet to discover. Well, the interesting thing is when they put them in the wonder machine of the MRI, their visual cortex fires up as well as other nervous system regions. So we know that when they're using those nerves, it's going to their visual cortex. So they're mapping something in their mind or vision that encodes that data, whether it's ooh, stinky garbage food over there, and like it looks bright green with stink lines over their vision, or whether it's a topographic map, or it's something we can't even comprehend. But what the most recent community post has in it is a group of scientists from Harvard, and what they're doing is they're studying the effects of dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, which is the strongest psychoactive chemical we know of for hallucinations in humans. And they've actually found ways of putting a quantitative ability of describing something that you would think you couldn't describe. So like people coming back from these trips on this substance oftentimes are like, I don't know, I was in another universe and there were beings that were talking to me that were like galactic star creatures, and like space-time itself collapsed. And that's not real useful. You don't know their dosage, you don't know their what's going on in their brain other than what the MRI is telling you. And so what the article goes into is that based on how much information cells and neurofeedback, like neuro loops and basically uh, what's the word? Neural networks uh, can process, we have like our main way of seeing things, which is in 3D. But our brain has the ability to see another dimension, to throw in hyperbolic geometry and fractal geometry and patterns overlaid over patterns that are moving, that are under, and the more you add onto it, they can actually have a descriptive indicator chart with little pictures of, basically it looks like trippy college, wall posters, but it starts with maybe like some MC Escher tessellations or like checkerboards and like staircases that go nowhere, that rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall in a circle. And then it goes to eternal knots and stuff that looks like Alex Gray artwork or fractals by Mandelbrot, the mathematician. And what they're seeing and learning is basically that as activity and the amount of information entering that visual cortex goes up, there's predictable ways in which biological organisms, for sure humans, interpret it, whether they have a math background, whether they've ever seen the images before or not. They see the same types of images, and there's actual laws that they're trying to write now and come up with equations and rules for that can dictate, like, at this dose or at this level, entry level, mid, high, beyond high, to where you're disassociative. And what's interesting is that we can't actually model in a computer visually a 4D object that's moving this way, and then on the surface of it, it has patterns that are morphing and moving in a complex way. And then beyond that, it's also an impossible shape, like an optical illusion, but actually a real shape that exists in theory, but we can't draw it because it's something like the Mobius loop, for instance, if you need an example. So what's really cool is that information, they're literally finding that humans are able to then visualize whether or not that means anything to them. Because the average person is going to see that and just be like, wow, that's really trippy, that's overwhelming, and that is crazy. But in animals, it could be that that's being used and that they can visually actually, they have a way to understand that. They may have a linear time aspect to their visual sight, by millimeters. They could have distance factored in. They could have temperatures factored. We don't know. It's a cutting edge thing, but sensory input is all about the information size, the information load of that sensory input. And some of the sensory inputs that, like, a chameleon, for instance, has are far greater than even the largest human sensory inputs are. So trying to tell 1 million cells around the body, more than that, to mimic a moving chessboard or checkerboard in a tank, and yet these cuttlefish or mimic octopus or there's a number of the cephalopods that can do it, can actually change within half a second to a second, and they can see with their eyes what's under them and project that to their back as it would look through water, and then move over it and keep changing that seamlessly. It's really incredible, but the amount of processing power that takes, just if you had a computer, just in ones and zeros, even if you had a 4-letter system instead of binary, if you had 4 symbolic states, or even 8 like in DNA, it doesn't add up. They'd need something. When I read something like 18 characters encoded as meaning something to do that, and that's not how chemical signals work. They're getting maybe three or four, and most likely it's a binary signal, either on or off. Electrodes, ions, or not electrodes, of electronic signals coming over potassium ion and calcium channels. And so, how are they doing it? Well, it turns out they have a diffused neural network that includes their visual processing network in their arms, in their skin. All of it has, it's diffused throughout their body. They don't have a cortex in the brain. They don't even have a cerebral cortex in fish and in, cephalopods. So how can they count? How can they do really complex things and remember to jump through a hoop when they see food? Things like that we thought, well, we have all of our logic and processing and emotions and things is either in the frontal or cerebral cortex, and they don't even have a cerebral cortex, so no way that they're going to do that. Well, they've evolved brains that just function differently. Some of these things are diffused throughout their entire body, and this is all very cutting edge, but all that information is very hard to communicate in a way that an organism can understand its world around it. And by some of these psychedelic visuals, when mathematicians from MIT and things understand the amount of information it takes to be seeing a four-dimensional, or at least understanding and tricking yourself into imagining that you're seeing that it's incredibly useful in showing how much information can be processed and worked through that way. Okay, I'm done with my crazy psychedelic rant thing. You can go look at the post if you want, but I wanted to break it down for folks who maybe didn't want to read the whole thing. There's a great about hour-long talk with a Harvard club of PhD students and faculty that are studying it right now, and mathematicians from MIT, and then also Oxford and maybe Cambridge too now has a chapter. Stanford does as well. Valmoda says, I need advice on a single centerpiece fish for a nano tank. A batis, like a blue batis, is nice. A betta is actually pretty nice. A bamboo shrimp can be nice. A honey gourami, even though they kind of like more of them. A little puffer, depending on how big your tank is. If you got like a 15 or 20 gallon tank, you could do a little puffer. Not necessarily a pea puffer, something else. Alex, on the topic of psychedelics, have you ever seen Clockwork Elves? I've not seen the classic Clockwork Elves. I've seen animal or plant type deity imagery on psilocybin, but not not elsewhere. And I want to destigmatize it. For a long time, I had other larger channels saying, Alex, you can't talk about that stuff. It's valid science. This reads right into what we talk about on the channel, and it is going to have a big impact in the years to come about what's going on. Sweet Shot, it's good to see you. And how much are they charging these fish for MRIs, right? Maybe they should do, Scarlet Batis are another good one, too. Any Batis is great. Gunnar, thanks. Let's see here. You had Sebastian says, I had an EEG that involved a light test. It literally looked like that. Fractals, light, colors, impossible shapes, and fractals moving. Crazy. That's interesting. I wonder what they were testing for. Maybe your depth perception and cognitive reasoning of some sort of input in the optic nerve. I have real trouble with flashing lights since my head injury from the lightning. I get very nauseous and feel like I need to jump out of my skin, and like I'm dizzy and queasy, and I'm very afraid I'm going to actually have a seizure one of these days. How often do people test oxygen concentration? Almost never. Most people do not have an oximeter for their aquarium that I know. But especially for dissolved oxygen. But I think it's an interesting thing to have. It's something I would like to buy for the channel to play with, um, and just understand more. Yeah, they could have been testing for seizures, like Carla said. Yeah, good point. So, um, yeah. So yeah. In any case, I didn't have a whole lot that I was gonna come up here and say. I'm just home alone, and so I can be loud and wander around the house and do a live stream at night without my wife saying, "What the hell are you doing?" And I wanted to hang out with my fishy friends. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Does anybody need help with any issues? Have any thoughts? Want to share anything before I bounce and start watching? Uh, I'm taking Khan Academy, like Khan spelled in the Indian sense, the Indian subcontinent sense, um, like a king, like man, that's not making it any clearer. King Kong, not like that, like King Khan, like the Khan or Sultan of a region, like Genghis Khan. Um, but there's a Khan Academy, and it's this billionaire, and he just wants education at college level to be free for everyone. And he puts, like, sometimes he'll go to Stanford and get the approval to do an Intro 101 level class on psychology, biological evolution, or evolutionary biology, I should say. And right now, there's a class that's been on YouTube for a long time that is evolutionary biology and psychology and sociology all together, and it's very fascinating. So I have some episodes. I'm taking a class right now on a marketing and the psychological impact of marketing, and then it's all framed in a Marxist versus Keynesian economic scaffold, basically. And just the fact that no professor taught the Marxist thoughts and stuff until, other than in like maybe like 5 to 20 schools in the U.S., and that was like real out there, but literally it was illegal before that. And the idea, the word communist, the word socialism, they have very, very, Americans' understandings of those words are not what the rest of the world understands them to be, because the Cold War really shaped us through, understandable fear, and just that was the enemy, the other. So we couldn't do anything about it, even though FDR right before was right there with the same things, or some of the things that a lot of people, even conservative or liberal, both alike, think are good things, like roads. Like that's a socialist thing, especially if the government's building it and employing people to do it. But in any case, so it's looking at all that using the terminology from both different schools. And Keynesian is like, I won't go into it too far here, but it's basically just the idea that capitalism is a good thing potentially when tied with democracy, but there need to be limits to break up monopolies, because inevitably capitalism turns into somebody makes money and then they collect all the things in that region and they stamp out all competition, like Amazon or Microsoft. And if there isn't a government to say, no, you need to split back up and fairly and give it back to the people who were in the sector, who have the skills, who have the production, means of production, all that stuff, then we can do it. And that's kind of how our economic system has run for the last 50, 60 years, really, in the U.S. Before that, there was a lot more Marxist influence, and McCarthyism really stomped all of that out, and into the Red Scare later on that continued beyond, even when everyone said MacArthur had gone too far. So, any case, I'm on a tangent, but that's what I'm going to go watch and unwind, because that's how I unwind my little brain. Let's see here. Every form of government works until you put humans in charge. Yeah, Mr. Numb. Well, I mean, I think most people would agree that a dictatorship is the best form of government if you have a really, really smart, super benevolent, great dictator. It's efficient, it gets things done, it delegates, it can do any other government's task, any other style, And in theory, they'd get the consensus of the people, but that never holds out for more than a generation or two. And like 50 years, come on, got to have a more stable system than that. So, red tiger lotus need any special requirements? Not really. Red tiger lotus do pretty good. They need some potassium. A lot of people like to dose with iron. I'm not totally convinced that the iron actually is needed. I think light can substitute for it if the nitrates are low. But if you have medium to high nitrates, like anything over 30 parts or 40 parts per million, I'd try adding some iron in there and some potassium, maybe a little manganese. Find a formulation that has that. And root tabs are great for those too, because they're not big water column feeders. They do feed from the water column just through osmotic regulation, and that helps somewhat, but big particles and chains of any sort of compound that are nutrients are going to get blocked in the pores because they're too big. Pyrian Wang, damn, I just clicked in. What's going on, y'all? You're probably going to have to rewind. I kind of went on a bit of a tangent. I apologize. But it's late night. I'm unfiltered. I'm off the hinges. I'm unrailed, derailed, re-railed. What was railed? Also, something to be said for decentralization, which is a big deal in Ukraine right now. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I mean, anarchy is another great perfect system. If it's communal anarchism and nobody decides to get super violent and control everything. But again, that tends to happen. And people don't understand what anarchy is. They think it's the thing where you spray paint the A and then there's no government. It's what it is it's 15 people on a camping trip and saying, what do you guys want to do today? What do we need to get done to not go hungry tonight, to stay warm? Who wants to get firewood? That's all it really is, in the traditional sense. And then there's all sorts of other crazy implications. And there's all sorts of crazy implementations of all these schools of thoughts. But what I want to tell people is you got to, just like filtration, you got to open your mind to all these things. Read it for yourself before you decide it's crazy, bad, good, or whatever. And that's what I'm just trying to do every day with life. And that's the joy I get out of life. It's free. It's knowledge that no one can take it from me unless they hit me in the head really hard and I have like a stroke. Then they can. Or I suppose if I got addicted to like benzodiazepines, that might, or alcohol, that might take away it. But in any case, in lieu of breaking down your 29, how do I get rid of Asian leeches? I would guess that a dewormer might kill them, but you'll need to look up the species. And I would say that, some are nematodes, some are flatworms, some are true worms. Levamisole, fenbendazole, or no planaria. Those are your three big guns, weapons of choices that you could choose from. And I don't know what the Asian leech is. That sounds like a vague name. Might be a couple different leeches. That might be a genus, and there might be other kinds. But look that up, and then see what order they're in. If they're in nematode, the flatworm one, which I'm forgetting the name of, or if they are in if they're actually a worm, which is the, oh no, I'm forgetting the name of that one too. The earthworm one. Someone might have it in here. Does anybody know the order of earthworms? What are they called? I can't remember the Latin tonight. Sorry, guys. You'll have to Wikipedia it. But in any case, there's a product for each of those, and if you find out what they are that you have, you can comment on a video, and I'll respond with which one you should treat with, for sure. Let's see here. Pyrian, yeah, yes, I am. Well, I was briefly. Let's see here. I got my shrimp that I ordered during the stream from Grant. Oh, wow, interesting. You got them already. They're teeny. It's actually good to get small shrimp that are home bred because they'll adapt to your tap water far better than the adults do. And they need to change exoskeletons very frequently when they're little. So that's actually really good to get half-grown shrimp. Ideally, that's what you would want, honestly. Yeah. Let's see here. Sure thing, Wayne. Too coolly. Annelids, yes, thank you. Pyramid, because I feel like your camping trip analogy is making some assumptions about some natures. Yes, it is, of course. And everything's way more complicated than that. My point is just that communalism is the same thing as anarchism, in the sense that communalism, wanting true democracy, turns into anarchy. Because true democracy, everybody gets to say no leaders are in charge. Democracy has a representative. Republic is representative democracy, another step removed. But if everybody had a say and we woke up in the morning and we all voted on everything, that doesn't work necessarily on a big scale. But in small scales, tribal groups, that's kind of how things operate for a long time. And that's really where the idea of a lot of the early forms of in the 1800s of anarchism came from. Then the Industrial Revolution came and changed what the meaning was, but it's been applied a lot of different ways, a lot of different times, and people are always afraid of it. Now, I'm not advocating it. I'm not an anarchist in any way, but I'm just saying that it's not what people assume it is. Same with communism, socialism, all those things, or Marxist thought. People like recoil in horror, like, I know what that is. It's an evil liberal thing, or it's an evil like Stalin thing, and it's not. It is a world from the 1840s to the 1860s that did not understand any of the World War I, II, any of the implications to come, and it is more a thought process of a power dynamic. How people decided to build a government around those ideas, that came later. And that's like Leninism, Trotskyism, Stalinism, Pol Pot, whatever you want to call it, Maoist. But we're not going to keep going into that. We're over that. I don't like those systems either, but I just wanted to say, verify your sources, learn it for yourself, read about it for yourself. And when you pick these things apart, a lot of times you find like, hey, that's not what I always thought it was. Like, that's actually the same thing that we do in our system. Why don't we call it that in our system, you know? And that's what I want people to understand about just so many different things, like whether my filtration's the right way. Like, maybe you're both doing something in an anoxic and an anaerobic and a aerobic filtration system. Maybe there's one thing on the setup that's always going to be using surface area exposed to the water with O2 dissolved in it. So you're always going to have surface growth of bacteria that processes nitrobacillus and nitrosomer. You know, they're always going to be a factor. So you have to get rid of those to then say how good the anaerobic or anoxic filtration is. Last thing I'm going to say is last thing I'm going to say is if anybody can get Dr. Novak, or as I'm going to call him for now, Mr. Novak, to tell us where he got his doctorate from, I would really appreciate that, because I cannot find any theses defended. This is something I kept to myself for a long time. So the late stream, I don't know how many people will make it to the end. I'm not questioning the science necessarily that he does. What I'm saying is I can't find any dissertation from him ever. And I've heard him say years ago that he was a civil engineering PhD. And then he wrote in a blog post in 2007 or something like that, that he was a limnologist, which is water, which could be part of civil engineering. I could be wrong. It could just not be digitized. But I can't find the info anywhere, and the man says I will not dignify that question with an answer whenever I talk to him. So if anybody else can scope that out and get that back to me, I'd love it. Just out of curiosity. And it doesn't make the info wrong if he's not a doctor. I just want to know. Because I've already researched the info. I've talked to PhDs about the info. They say it checks out. not all of the things he does, not on all the scales that they're done, but that's true with any filtration crap they try to sell us. But yes, I would really love to know the answer to this. Not because I want to like call them out, but anybody who like calls themselves doctor on every email, every forum post, who brags about some guy from Harvard coming over and saying you're a genius, who was a chemist, a Fulbright scholar at Harvard, that's a chemist and supposedly professes his love for his big old brain. I've heard the same stories like 50 times, different ways over the years. And it's that ego part that I think Corey rolls his eyes at, not the science linked to it that we've known since the 1920s about anoxic filtration. Yeah, if you call yourself a doctor, you should probably back it up, especially if you do it all the time. But I've never seen anything on it. And, you know, if he does have a doctorate, I'm very curious to know what school it's from. Because if it's from, like, Phoenix, like University of Phoenix or something, like, get out of here. But now, if it were from, you know, Cambridge, sure, then I'd shut my big mouth. But it's just weird to me that I can't find it anywhere. I can't find any papers, any peer-reviewed stuff, and I'm good at hunting that stuff down. My guess is it's because it wouldn't be scanned in the era when he did it, and that whatever he wrote on was not consequential, so they didn't scan it in. But he has published nothing in 25 years. So, yeah. In any case, I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you guys can find any info on that, send me an email at alexanderjwilliamson@gmail.com, or just leave me a comment. As you guys know, I try to get to every comment that I can. If it's a fresh comment, I can get to it. If it's down the line in a thread within another thread on YouTube, it doesn't alert me to those. It only tells me when there's a new comment. It doesn't need to necessarily be a new video, but it needs to be a fresh comment. Like, you just need to comment somewhere, any video, and then I'll be able to get a hold of you there. And I check it a few times a day. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Patrick Hardy, what's up? And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the super chats. I don't think we had any mods in here, did we? Other than George, maybe. But everyone behaved. We all had a good time as you listen to a madman who doesn't have his wife around to keep his brain in check from babbling on. See, this is why she doesn't want to talk to me about things. Like, she's like, I can pull up with it for an hour, but then she has to live with me. But now I'm going to get off of the internets, and I hope you all have a wonderful night, morning, evening, afternoon, day, whatever it is, wherever you are, whenever you see this. Replay crew, I love you too. This is my most productive time in the night, and I'm going to get some reading done, work on another video, do some research and stuff, and take one of those classes in my headphones while I'm looking for some stuff for a video I have planned. I'll talk to you guys later. Much love. Take care of yourselves so you can take care of your plants, your fish, your people. And hopefully, if we all do that, if we all care, have some empathy, have some compassion, this will be a far better world. So cut some people some slack. Do something nice for someone you don't like tomorrow. Who doesn't deserve it. Not too nice, but, you know, just nice enough. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.